talking with Isabel Olive of Half Gringa. So, Isabel, let's go back. And I know that you grew up in Carbondale and then came to Chicago for school at 18. What was that transition like? As a rural kid who also moved to the big city, what was that like for you?
It was intense. I think luckily both my parents are from cities originally, so they kind of were, trying to prime me for what to expect. But in a way, like there was no way to anticipate what it would be like to move to a city at 18 and then be coming from this rural place. So it was interesting.
Of course, Carbondale is not without culture. You have SIU there. Yeah. It is a place where other singer-songwriters have spent significant time, like Sean Colvin, like Jason Ringenberg. So did any of that kind of filter into your childhood?
It's funny. No, not really. Not until later. Like I wasn't aware of Sean Colvin by name. I think I had heard her music before, but I don't think I knew who she was until like I was graduated from college. But I grew up listening to music a lot, and I started playing piano when I was 6, and then I was in marching band at public school, and so music was sort of like a pretty big constant in my life.
You started your own label, bringing out this album. Why did you want to do that? I mean, for some people, that is too much paperwork and too many headaches. Why start Teleferico?
Yeah. Great question. Well, I've released all of my work so far by myself, and a couple of reasons why I did want the paperwork. I wanted to sort of formalize my own label that I'm just using as like a way to put out my own work, and to just sort of like feel like there was a unifying theme around what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if there will be anyone else on Teleferico Records other than me, but that's possible in the future. That might be cool to explore. So
now that you've started it.
Open that
then
can
it's
of
always
worms.
A possibility.
Yeah.
You worked with the producer Brian Deck, who has also produced music for Caliphone and Iron and Wine. What did he bring to this project?
Brian's so cool in that he's such a seasoned producer and engineer that he was sort of like, I want to do what you want to, like, I want to sort of realize your project. And like, I had such a clear idea of what I wanted to do that I think he was so open to just sort of like co-producing with me and trying to understand like what I was trying to accomplish with this record. Like I came in with most of the arrangements done. The band had been mostly rehearsed by the time he entered the process. And so I think he did a really good job of just elevating the recording experience in a lot of ways. Like it's definitely the best studio experience I've had. He's very good at working with people. He just like understands how important like emotionally music is. And so that like openness was like made me feel really comfortable. Yeah.
I understand that you started writing the songs for Cosmovisión in 2020. I mean, it's been 5 years and, started during the pandemic. When you look back now, how do these songs feel to you? Does it take you back to 2020 or have they moved forward to 2025?
In some ways, I am taken back to 2020. I think there are a couple of references of me, like, being inside, writing stuff, and like not being able to leave. But I think what shocks me is like how relevant the songs still are and the content still is at this point. Like it doesn't feel like sometimes I'll write music and then not release it or perform it live until much later, and I'll feel a little bit of a distance. And sometimes the distance can be good. Sometimes you need it. But for this record, it just feels so like present to me and so relevant still. And so it's been, I think, kind of a joy to just like play it live and like continue to revisit it over and over.
And how does this set of songs, how does it feel different from your previous albums?
Well, I think I had something really specific that I wanted to explore for this record. And the last 2 records, the first one was just sort of like, these are all the songs I have so far. And it felt like me introducing my project to kind of the world. And the second record I wrote mostly as a reaction to a time where I was experiencing a lot of grief in various ways and kind of sifting through these feelings that I had never felt really before. And Cosmovisión is more like me trying to unpack a lot of the things that I've been trying to say about the world around me, about myself inside of me, and how those two things kind of interplay.
So let's talk about some of the themes. There are songs that sound so personal, but they're very global in their themes. And I think you were talking about two of the songs as being the bookends, Glacier Walker and
Where You Ride. Yeah.
Right.
So Glacier Walker is about an experience that I had in Iceland right before the lockdown started. It was the last place I was before we didn't go anywhere for quite some time.
Not a bad place to be.
Right. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. But a big part of that trip was like witnessing and being told like, hey, these glaciers that you're going to see, like they've shrunk so immensely. Like one of our tour guides was like standing in a parking lot. And he was like, the glacier used to be in this parking lot and now it's receded so much that it's over there. And so that was really chilling to see. And then the last song that I wrote before we started rehearsals with the band, Where You Ride, I was in Athens, Greece, doing an artist retreat with some friends. And it was during some of the worst wildfires Greece has ever seen. And the song has sort of a like Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse kind of content energy. And that just felt really informed by the fact that I was sort of waiting to see, like, do I need to evacuate this city because the fires on Mount Parnitha are getting closer and closer to where I am. And so it just felt like, wow, this is still something that, you know, we're going to be dealing with the effects of for forever. And just having those sort of two songs be written so far away from each other was like kind of... yeah, it was kind of incredible to just show the range of that.
They still feel so personal, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Glacier Walker really does sound like a breakup song to me.
Yeah, yeah. And in a way, it is. It's like, I feel like I want to break up with humanity, but also I am a human. I can't, you know?
It's hard to quit them.
It's hard to quit them. Yep, super true.
You were working on this album not only during the pandemic, but also when Texas Governor Greg Abbott was starting to send Venezuelan migrants to Chicago en masse. And what was it like for you as a Venezuelan person of Venezuelan heritage, as an artist, to be creating in that atmosphere?
It felt like what I was doing was really urgent. I think for myself to sort of figure out like what my place is and what my role is as an artist at such a critical time for all of these people from my mother's country to be coming here and be met with such like vitriol from various like state and federal legislators and just people. I wanted to write something that would give them hope and especially give their children hope. I think that it's really hard to be a child and to come to this country and have it be new and scary. And I wanted to encapsulate what it's felt like for me to grow up here biculturally so that there's something for them to like hold on to and use as a North Star and know like your experience growing up is going to be different than if you had stayed in Venezuela, and it's going to be different than if you had been born in the United States. And I think that not enough, I wanted to see more art that sort of shows this kind of gray area in which we're living and show that that's okay.
Many of your songs incorporate English and Spanish, and What's the Word really does it so beautifully on the new album. Can you talk a little bit about that song?
Yeah, it was really hard to write. It was the last song that I finished, and we were already in rehearsals for a bunch of the other songs on the record. And I had the idea for the song when I accidentally got caught in the lowrider lineup at the Puerto Rican Pride Fest in Humboldt Park. I was like, oh, oops, that's today. And then I was suddenly like amidst a bunch of lowriders that were immaculate. Everyone was like happy and smiling, and I loved it. I was like, this is so beautiful. And at the same time, I felt so sad because I was like thinking about how, you know, until recently, there hasn't been like a sort of critical mass of Venezuelans in Chicago. And I'm like, I want us to have a parade, you know? And so I felt that sort of duality of the like joy at them experiencing this, and then at me sort of being like, everyone that is coming from that country, like, is at the beginning of this experience and the beginning of building a community, which is so hopeful. And I wanted to convey that hope, but I also wanted to convey sort of my sadness, you know, and just sort of show the multidimensionality of being part of the Latin American diaspora.
Right. Yeah. What do you want audiences to take away from Omnivisión? Fans and folks who are going to hear it maybe for the first time on WBEZ.
I think I just want people to be more open-minded about what the Latin American experience is and what the experience of growing up multiculturally is. I think that until recently, I've seen a lot of sort of pigeonholing of different like artists, whether it's like the genre that they're supposed to be playing or what they're supposed to be writing about. And I just want people to understand that like it's much more of a spectrum and that everybody's story is different because, you know, Latin America is comprised of so many countries. And then it's like you have all those countries and then you have people that have these sort of bicultural crossover experiences, and those are all different. And it's such a rich thing. And I want people to understand that that richness is good, and trying to like tear those threads apart just doesn't result in something that's as, I don't know, like valid in terms of like what your experience is, but also it just flattens everything.
Right. I mean, you wouldn't put your music into one box that says Latin American
Right.
or, you know, Latin influence. I mean, there is so much in your songs, and I hear Sheryl Crow, I hear Nico Case, I hear a little Sean Colvin, you know, I hear all kinds of different sorts of music coming through here with this, you know, very diverse band of yours.
Thanks. Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to convey, like diversity of sound and diversity of content. And I think that's really important to show people.
Yeah, and also still very personal. It sounds like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isabel Olive, thanks for talking to us here on WBEZ.
Thank you so much for having me. Cool. First, we have Emily Jane Powers on the violin. Next, we have Ivan Paizo on the trumpet. Then we have Victoria Park on the bass. Directly behind me, we have Quinn Kirchner on the drums. We have Brendan Cabrera on the keys. And we have Sam Cantor on the guitar. And my name's Isabel Olive, and this is my project, Half Gringa.
Crossed a line on the main road. Your heart in raptures and I didn't know what to hate. I twist around the things you say to me. I am an artist, it takes energy. Hope disappearing down a black hole. My saddest laughter is an echo, a wraith that takes my shape. Something's telling me to write things Something's telling me to turn around, get back in the water, get back across the river now. Give back the goodbyes I got. It's a rising sun open in the ground. I'm moved by the spectral glow on the morning snow that abandons us. And when I return to you and the earth in bloom, what will I still fear? A movement I can't resist and a country kiss to bless your land. One, two, three, four. Glacier Walker, steam rises and converges. The glacier has retreated half a mile from where it started to show us just how much we've taken. I've seen the space where plates meet edge to edge. It hangs right there above my head. For all the days I spend inside, I punish them in how I try to sing about the ghosts of everyone I ever was and descendants I will never see, but part of me will always be the bleeding edge born of the earth. And here we are. Do I wait on this moment? Can I count on it? I can see it in the stars. We're the only thing I really love, the one thing I can conceive of. I walk the glacier tracing ice, so it's a black hole, it's a black hole, it's a black hole, it's a black hole. A mirror back into the past, marching on the odds. There's a second paradise if I could halt your gods and listen to indifference from the sleeping heat beneath. The cold above she gets inside, pushing her way to the core of my mind. I can't escape, that voice won't die. She says we're done, but thinks that we should try. The bleeding edge born off the earth, and here we are. Do I wait on this moment? Can I count on it? I can see it in the scars. We're the only thing I really love, the one thing I can conceive of. I walk the glacier, tracing ice so old. It's a black hole. 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 One, two, three, four. What's the word for what I feel? Every summer cruising through the park, every car adorned with the place we were before, the place that we come from. What's the word for what I feel? When a sliver of Bandera flashes, tarnished silver, older than the building that I lived in now. And can you tell me how? All the words for what I feel rise like steam and essence of who I thought I'd be by now, of what I'd see by now. What's the word for what I feel when I don't know what kind of air I'm breathing? Breeze like sorcery directs my feelings about this dream and what this version means to the world that I feel. Picking up the phone and understanding you. Somehow I can't speak, it doesn't come to me. I wish there was a way. I thought someday it would hurt less. Direct address from myself in a mirror. Knee deep, I try to dig deep. Oracle for proof that words are the only solace. I walked away and I learned less. I come correct to the mess in the mirror. Honesty never buried. Oracle, it's proof of life is the only solace. Quien dijo eso? Que no sabes nada. ¿Quién dijo eso que no sabes nada? 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 What's the word for what I feel? Every summer cruising through the park, every car adorned with the place I was before, the place that I come from. Se fue la luz, but somehow it's around you. One day you'll feel how warm